With a common health myth that needs to go away already. Story 1. Popping your joints or knuckles does not cause arthritis. It's just clearing out the gases between your joints. On a side note, I have arthritis and I sure didn't get that from popping my joints, lol. Story 2. For women, weight lifting is not going to make you big and bulky. Go lift the weights a lot. Lift like an NFL linebacker, please, unless you're slamming testosterone, eating 5,000 calories, and lifting heavy religiously for years. It isn't going to happen. Lifting is just going to make you really fit. Don't worry about getting huge, you won't. Story 3. Vaccines cause autism. I'm a social worker and therapist. Signs of autism are usually present earlier, but they tend to be easier to identify around the time you get your first major set of vaccinations. Same goes with schizophrenia. Your friend or family member didn't develop schizophrenia from a bad breakup or some other experience. It just happens to become more noticeable around major life events and late adolescence, which goes to age 25. We almost always see patterns when we do family inventories. Remember the one uncle in your family who was a little different back in the old days, probably lived undiagnosed with something major. Story 4. As a former injury-prone college athlete, a lot of typical shoulder, lower back, ankle, and hip pain is most likely due to a lack of mobility muscle stability. Literally do tons of mobility band work. Train your hip flexors. Mobility work and active stretching will save you in the long run. I wish I was told this while at university, but I had to learn it from physiotherapists that exercise leads to weight loss. The truth is nuanced. Diet mattered a lot more when it comes to weight loss, and exercise is shown to be good for maintaining weight rather than losing it. People who believe this myth often get frustrated and stop exercising when they don't lose weight. Exercise at any weight is beneficial for a host of other reasons. Story 5. Fat is bad for your health. No. Fat is good in moderate quantities. If your fat-free food is filled with sugar or corn syrup, it's even worse than the original one. All those who talk about moderation should know the initial findings scaremongered people into completely eliminating every fat from the food we eat, and a whole line of fat-free food came. Even avocado, coconut, eggs were considered harmful because of the fat. The whole margarine came into existence because people were scared to take butter, but the new foods were high in sugar, corn syrup to achieve the same taste, and they were more harmful than the original fatty food. Story 6. That chronic illnesses and disabilities are rare and won't happen to you. I was a healthy, active, 22-year-old girl working 48 hours a week as a carer, and I still became disabled. Now I'm 26, can't walk more than 10 minutes without pain, and am exhausted by doing anything strenuous. It can happen to you. Don't take your health for granted. Story 7. That you should get 10,000 steps in each day. Don't get me wrong, of course walking is healthy, but many people obsess over this number and are disappointed when they don't achieve this random number every day. This number comes from a Japanese product that counted steps, and they just used the 10,000 steps thing because it sounded good. It has literally no scientific basis, so yes, go on a walk, get a daily movement, but don't obsess over getting your 10,000 steps in. Story 8. That ADHD only affects children and you can grow out of it. Not true at all. It affects adults differently and can be completely devastating if left untreated. I was diagnosed at 24 and began medication shortly after. It has been life-changing for me. Story 9. Raw milk being better for you than pasteurized. I do not understand this one. I do not want to drink any substance that comes out of an animal raw. Raw milk carries so much bacteria and goes bad so quickly. Livestock animals are nasty, and the amount of manure that can contaminate milk is just atrocious. Why people want to drink that raw is beyond me. Milk used to kill literally hundreds of thousands of people every year, yes. Please do your research. This is not overblown before things became regulated and pasteurization became widespread. I don't know why all these crunchy people think it's better for you and want to go backwards. I think the overall hatred of government overreach is causing people to lose their common sense, in the US at least. Story 10. That all acne can be cured with a good diet, cleanliness, and exercise. No, maybe some forms of acne can, but sometimes no matter what you try, it could be hormones, genetics, and other factors. When I had bad cystic acne, the amount of people that told me I just needed to try and wash my face, get good eating habits, and exercise was ridiculous. They did not think I tried these things. I tried every fad, concoction, advice given. Eventually, I got seen to an NHS dermatologist when I was 29 who confirmed that for my acne, none of those things would work. Did treatment, had fantastic skin since, and I eat like don't exercise, and my skin is still fantastic now. Story 11. Circumcision. We did not evolve for thousands of years to randomly start cutting off the most sensitive part of the penis for bull hygienic reasons. It's a barbaric practice that should be banned, and it's absolutely insane that it's legal to do to boys without their consent. Story 12, probably not that common amongst non-healthcare people, but a shocking number of medicine textbooks claim different races have different pain tolerances, which is a flat-out lie. Story 13, you don't suddenly get the body of an 80-year-old the moment you turn 30. Edit, wow, these comments are surprising. What on earth have you been doing in your 20s that has resulted in you lot throwing your backs out at 30? Story 14, very general, but when people depict some ingredient as bad for you, because too much is bad for you. Yeah, that's what too much means. Literally everything has an amount of it which will be too much. All in all, people just need to be more informed about their health, and that means taking the time to investigate and understand specific ingredients, substances, etc. People can and will try to sell you on and also position you against any number of products using vague reasoning because they know most people won't actually take 5 minutes to look for real data. Don't be that person. Take the 5 minutes. Story 15, please stop telling me to lean head back when I have nose bleeding. This has gone way too long, and still people believes that helps stop bleeding. Story 16, vaping is a healthy alternative to cigarettes. This is technically the truth. Cigarettes are indeed worse for you than vaping. However, this is not an excuse to start vaping, because that still leaves you susceptible to other awful things like nicotine addiction and respiratory damage. Not to say I'm opposed to vaping products. Quite the contrary, I 100% support using vaping as a means to quit tobacco cigarettes, especially if you gradually adjust your formula to reduce your nicotine intake. I've seen it as an effective quitting tool for a lot of my friends and coworkers who smoked for decades prior. I do not want to see vaping products taken off the market. I think they're one of the greatest health innovations for lifelong tobacco smokers. But when people with no prior smoking history decide to start vaping, because vaping is a healthy alternative to cigarettes. No, full stop, it's not a healthy alternative to anything. It's still something that's best avoided. Enjoy the freedom you don't know you have, for you are the envy of millions who wish they never took that first step. Story 17, that being in poor health is somehow a moral failing, and people who struggle with their health should be treated as subhuman because of it. Actually, being obese doesn't make you a bad person who's unworthy of any compassion or respect. Story 18, you're your own best advocate. No, I pay insane premiums and fraudulent fixed pricing so that you insurer, nurse, doctor, and receptionist will be my best advocate. Story 19, just exercise and go outside more. It will make your depression, anxiety, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, etc. disappear. Yes, your environment and how you handle your body matters, but it isn't a magic solutions, and many people face barriers when it comes to exercising, etc. Eclipse. Story 20, that seed oils are bad for you while butter is good. Despite being everywhere on the internet, there's literally no empirical evidence for the former claim, while an abundance of evidence for the latter. Story 21, can't believe I haven't seen this yet. Not all diabetes is caused by diet. Diabetes is an umbrella term for type 1, type 2, gestational, etc. diabetes. 90 of diabetics are type 2, aka the ones we associate with diet and grandma. 10 are type 1 diabetes, and it is autoimmune and cannot be prevented with diet. Type 1 diabetics can eat just like anyone else. They just need to cover it with insulin injections. Type 1 diabetics are tired of people saying that eating XYZ sugary food will give someone diabetes. Story 22, non-GMO foods are better. MF first. We've been genetically engineering food since some hunter-gatherers stumbled across the idea that if they bred that wheat plant a few generations, they'd be able to make bread, cows, genetically engineered, chicken breasts, same, corn tortillas wouldn't exist unless people bred maize for generations. You're likely alive today because of GMO foods. Story 23, that targeted fat loss is a thing. No, you won't lose a dad bod with workouts. A healthy diet with plenty of fibers and whole grains will work wonders, though. Story 24, that you need to eat lots of meat to consume adequate protein. It's quite hard to eat below your protein RDI. You'd have to have a pretty horrendous diet to do so. A guy I work with justifies meat with every meal by this. Thinks he's a bodybuilder, but ignores the bit about working out. Story 25, that you only use 10 of your brain. The entire brain is constantly active, even in periods of sleep, regulating, monitoring, sensing, interpreting, reasoning, planning, and acting. Even people with degenerative neural disorders such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease still use more than 10 of their brains. That an apple a day will keep the doctor away. Lack of insurance does that. Story 26, just watch what you eat and exercise. I have COS. I can't lose weight that easily. Also, running is actually bad for my joints, especially since my ankles are weak as Story 27. This may be less common than it used to be, but the idea that you need to wait a half hour after eating before you go back into the water to swim, otherwise you'll get cramps and maybe drown. Story 28. Any diet some company is selling you, just get a calorie counting app for free and don't go over your daily allotment. I lost 40 pounds and kept it off for 2 years now. Story 29. That you can boost your metabolism with some simple trick. Your metabolism for your age, weight, and genes is what it is outside of extreme circumstances or negligible difference. Your body isn't going to go into starvation mode just because you skipped a meal. Story 30. Detoxification. Ladies and gentlemen, your liver is doing an amazing job of detoxification. All you have to do is love it and take care of it. Eat good food, moderate alcohol, and be careful with your pharmacological intake. Story 31. Red wine is good for you. An no amount of any alcohol is good for you. Sure, alcohol in small amounts can help you de-stress, hence reducing cortisol levels, but there are many other alcohol-free ways that can occur. Story 32. That everyone needs a skincare routine. The majority of people do not need elaborate routines or expensive products. Their skin is just fine on its own. If you need 16 products in an hour to remove your makeup, you're wearing too much makeup, lol. Story 33. You don't have to wash your vagina. The vagina cleans itself. The vulva doesn't. People use vagina to mean vulva all the time, and so they think it means you don't need soap and water on skin that sweats and grows hair because it's the vagina. Story 34. The gluten-free hype. Don't get me wrong, there are legit issues caused by gluten, and it's important to have this information on products of any sort. What I mean is all the advertisement shouting gluten-free from packaging on products that by default don't have gluten in them, like corn or rice. Story 35. Cooking in aluminum potspans causes Alzheimer's. On a related note, much of the research on Alzheimer's was falsified, but I'm too lazy to hash out the details. Story 36. That everyone needs 8 hours of sleep every night. Some need more. Some need less. Some need way less. Some nights we don't sleep, and some nights we do. Sometimes we nap during the day, which means we need less sleep at night. Sometimes naps don't make a difference. I have so many patients addicted to sleeping tablets because they have unrealistic expectations of how much they're supposed to sleep. Story 37. For melanated people, but especially black people, you don't need sunscreen because we can't sunburn. You don't. You'd think I'm joking, but sadly way too many people, I know my nephew included, still believe this. He just flat out refused for no other reason at all. We get skin cancer, sun damage, and melanoma especially a lot. Everybody please use sunscreen, SPF 45 or higher. The idea that BMI is anything more than a handful of crystals and wishes. Story 38. I grew up being told you need to bundle up as much as you can to break a fever, gotta overheat yourself, and sweat out. Wrong. That can cause heat stroke and do much more harm than good. You're supposed to keep yourself dressed lightly and not get too hot or too cold. Story 39. The myth that weight loss or gain is dictated by slower or faster metabolism between people. Metabolic difference across our species is not severe enough to account for weight differences. The fat person can't blame a slower metabolism, and skinny people aren't skinny because they have a fast metabolism. People severely overestimate how much the average skinny person eats across the day and underestimate how much the average overweight person eats a day. It's all about the amount of energy you're putting into storage, not the mechanism itself. Story 40. Vaccines cause autism. Many research studies have proven that is wrong. And also the idea that any problem of any vaccine is worse than the disease. That's Story 41. That people become and stay obese just because of a lack of will. It is first of all a disease, and it can be influenced by many things like genetics, hormones, mental health issues, the food industry in your country, the level of income. Poorer people will tend to choose cheaper, over-processed food, transports like walking versus driving to go somewhere, highways versus pathways sideways, access to bicycles. Story 42. That low-fat items are healthy. Nope. All the good nutrients have been removed, and often they are loaded with sugar to make them taste less bland. Healthy fat is good for you and your brain. People so not lose weight from eating low-fat products. Story 43. Oh man, can we please kill the you need to drink 8 glasses of water a day myth already? Truth is, your boat is pretty good at telling you when it's thirsty. Don't get me wrong, I still drink a lot of water on a daily basis, but there's no hard and fast rule. Studies say hydration needs vary wildly based on diet, activity, and whether you're secretly a sweat fountain. So yeah, forget the water guilt trip and sip when you feel like it. Story 44. Egg yolks are unhealthy and cause high cholesterol. Eat egg whites because it's healthier Doesn't have all the cholesterol, but you still get all the protein. Studies have proven that egg yolks are nutrient-dense, support brain health, and prevent cognitive decline. They were once criticized for their cholesterol content, but research now shows that dietary cholesterol from eggs has minimal impact on blood cholesterol for most people. Benefits: choline. Egg yolks are one of the richest sources of choline, a nutrient essential for producing acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter involved in memory and cognitive function. Choline intake is linked to a lower risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. Omega-3 fatty acids. Some eggs, especially those from pasture-raised chickens, contain omega-3s, which help reduce inflammation and support brain cell integrity. Lutein and zeaxanthin. These antioxidants protect the brain from oxidative stress and may improve cognitive function. Vitamin B12, folate. Both are crucial for nerve function and preventing cognitive decline. B12 deficiency is linked to brain fog, memory issues, and neurodegeneration. Healthy fats. The natural fats in egg yolks help with the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are important for brain function and overall health. Brain degeneration prevention. Alzheimer's, dementia. Choline and B vitamins help reduce homocysteine levels, which are associated with a higher risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Memory, cognition. Regular egg consumption has been linked to better cognitive performance in older adults. Mood regulation. The combination of healthy fats, B vitamins, and choline supports neurotransmitter production, which can help with mood stability. Plus, egg yolks add to your overall protein intake. Eating egg yolks is healthy and provides numerous health benefits. Just like everything else, moderation is key. Story 45. Calories in food are the same. Humans don't process food the same. No animal does. Our understanding with reductionist logic limits us on all fronts. Our gut biome is responsible for breaking down and absorbing food. We each have different levels. Story 46. That undereating and overexercising are serious concerns for non-athletes. Lifting weights twice a week for 20 minutes won't make you look like Arnold. Running a 5K won't give you rhabdomyolysis. Skipping a meal isn't anorexia, and if you're overweight, you are not anorexic by the DSM definition. As long as you're working out with good form, more is better for 99% of the population. Story 47. That you'll be treated better by doctors if you're thin. I call bullshit on that. I've never been big, and I did lose 20 pounds when my dad passed unexpectedly 2 years ago, and I've been trying to put it back on, but it's a no-go so far, and not an unhealthy way at all, though. I'm 54, 120 pounds up from 112 pounds when he first died. I got bitched at by the nurse when I had to have an echocardiogram, saying, "You're too thin. I can't get good images because you're bony." Like, thanks, sorry, I've always been part of the itty-bitty committee, so I promise even if I was heavier, there wouldn't be more up there to help. Got denied a sleep study just today by insurance as not medically necessary due to my BMI being too low. Nobody give a that. I'm exhausted no matter how much I sleep. I wake constantly all night, and am clearly mouth-breathing, snoring, but nope, I'm thin, so me, I guess. I've had a knee from an injury 18 years ago at work that work comp claimed was just bursitis, but after my MRI, turns out I've got no meniscus, torn PCL, and thickened and scarred MCLIT band. This one the doctor told me, just exercise to build up your quads because you're too thin and young 41 to do anything else. Don't get me started on the debilitating back pain I've been fighting for over a decade. TLDR, even if you're thin, the DRS will just move the goalposts, gaslight you, or complain about your weight. Story 48. Skim milk is good for you. No, it is not. Skim milk is milk with the cream removed. The cream is the part of the milk that contains the majority of the nutrients, such as calcium. By only drinking skim or two, whatever that is, you are effectively depriving yourself of vital nutrients. Story 49. That you can boost or strengthen your immune system. You can maintain it, but you're stuck with the immune system you have. There's no magic bullet to boost it. Story 50. Anything detox. Everything you need for detox is water. Gluten is bad. Unless you're allergic, it's not. You'll lose weight as long as you keep a calorie deficit. No, you need to actually burn calories. If you just stop eating nutrients, your metabolism will drastically slow down. If a woman's vagina smells, she needs to wash more. The most common source of vagina odor is washing too much, and thus destroying the natural acidity. Everybody should be taking supplements. And no, get a test for vitamin deficits before shoving anything down. The vast majority of my 14-year-old students take various supplements without ever having consulted a doctor. Whitening toothpaste. Whitening strips, not a single benefit in those. Story 51. Medical x-rays are scary, and you need a lead shield over you when you get one. You don't. Story 52. That black people can't get sunburned or skin cancer. Don't need sunscreen in general. Eve had entire arguments about this easily Googleable fact. The sun damages everyone's skin regardless of race. If anything, black folk are more prone to having melanoma unbeknownst since it looks different in dark skin. Folks, please wear sunscreen. Story 53, this one comes with an asterisk. Peanut butter is good for you. It's only good for you if it's the organic stuff that tastes like Jif, however, is mostly terrible for you. Story 54, small cuts, like the kind that only take a store brand bandage, do not need to air out. I've met some of the most skilled nurses in the profession, but for some reason this harmless belief persists. More moisture means the cells do a better job of repairing the damage more quickly. Certainly remove and wash with hot water and soap. Dry, then reapply new ones. Story 55, literally all of the hesitancy around vaccines. Jesus Christ, people, they have saved literally billions of lives over the years, and not vaccinating your child could be a death sentence. Being all natural doesn't make you stronger. Nature is a harsh that is evolving to dominate you. Story 56, that you should eat whenever you are hungry. It's good to learn how to manage your hunger. You don't have to snack every time you feel hunger pain. A big glass of water often will tide you over until mealtime. Story 57, as a physician, I can't stand the healthy obese stuff some delusional fatfluencers put out there. You cannot be morbidly obese and claim to be healthy. You may not have all the comorbidities that come with obesity yet, but on a long enough timeline, they start to appear. Story 58, pap smears gynecological exams don't hurt. Depression is always due to a chemical imbalance. You need to take a daily multivitamin. Meat is necessary for a balanced diet, and milk makes your bones strong and prevents fractures. I haven't drank milk since I was a child, and I've never had any fractures so far. Story 59, blue zones. Story 60, that your body needs to be detoxed by some goopy product. That's the job of your liver and kidneys and other bits. And if they aren't working properly, no detox product is going to help. Story 61, everybody needs therapy. The majority of therapists are incompetent and propagate harmful ideas not supported by research onto their patients. This can make people worse, especially since the public isn't generally educated on what to look for. So by saying everybody needs therapy, we're funneling unsuspecting but vulnerable people into a system that is more likely to result in harm than good. Story 62, any product claiming to detoxify your body is a scam. Your liver and kidneys do that for you. And if it doesn't, you're probably very aware of it. Edit forgot kidneys existed for a second there. Story 63, these comments are great. And so I wanted to recommend to anybody who likes this question and also podcast, check out Sawbones. It's a medical history podcast done by a doctor and her husband, and it will frequently cover and debunk modern medical wellness snake oil trends. Story 64, that vitamin C fights and prevents common colds. Absolute rubbish based on no evidence. And now there's years of data confirming it is nothing more than a placebo. Story 65, that being obese is the worst possible thing. Depending on your body's natural response to food and to put on weight and your activity level, you may be better off than someone who has a normal BMI but doesn't take care of themselves. Obese people receive less comprehensive health care because DRS attribute everything to obesity. This is not a sweeping statement, but it happens